Hey folks, Michael Daniels here with Tinkering with Tech. Today we're going to talk about using a OBS virtual camera to get an overhead view. Check this out. Okay, to start off with, let's start with a blank OBS scene collection. So what we're going to do is, your OBS may not look like mine. First of all, I have dark mode. Secondly, you may not have scenes, sources, scene transitions, audio mix, or these controls. They may be in different places. You can go to view and see the docks, and you can see the ones that I have, and you can turn some of these off if you don't want to see them. These are the ones that I have. So it might look a little different. Just have to preface with that. So now let's take a look at the tools section, and you can see where we have the virtual camera. If you're not sure whether you have the virtual camera or you can't find it or you don't see that, go into help, go into about section here. When you go into about, you'll see the OBS Studio 26.1.1, and I think there's actually a version ahead of that, but you have to have at least this version. I'm almost positive of that, to be able to have the built-in virtual camera, because this is a fairly new thing. So let's just take OBS from scratch, nothing in it. Let's just add some stuff so we have it. So let's add a camera. I'm going to go down to the bottom under sources and hit the plus sign. Hit the plus signs. I'm going to add a video capture device. I'm going to call this the C922 because I want my camera in there. I hit OK. Now I'm going to choose, I have a bunch of different cameras you can see here. I'm going to choose the C922 Pro webcam, custom, resolution. Resolution is going to be 1920 by 1080. And boom, it fills the screen. I have the full view of everything from my camera, my C920. Now let's add a scene. We're going to add another scene. I'm going to hit the plus sign down under the scene section. This is going to be overhead. Hit OK. So now obviously it's a blank screen. It's starting with a fresh slate. Now let's add that camera that's showing the other side of things. Here's a video capture device. Again, we're going to do overhead, and I'm going to hit OK. And this is actually my overhead camera that I have right here. You can see that I have that. I want to set that the same way I do the other. You can change the default resolution, but this looks pretty good. If you can kind of see back behind there that this fills the screen. That's exactly what I want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on this one. I don't have to adjust it. So now I have the overhead camera, which is great, but I would like to put myself in there too. So what I can do is I can actually hit plus. I'm going to add the video capture device, because I'm going to add an existing camera, my C922, and add that. It takes up the whole page. So what I want to do is I want to take a corner up at the top here, and I want to shrink this down so it's me down in the corner. And I actually would like to make this a square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key while over this, and see how it turns green? It makes so it's cropping now instead of actually moving. So now I can take right there. So if I were to move this without holding down the Alt key, this is what happens. It gets bigger. But if I want to adjust the size, I want to hold down the Alt key. That's what makes this cropping. That's the difference. In the community, you'll see a video that we've done a workshop where we can do that. Here's the other thing. You can do this. I can make this a little bit bigger, and I can talk about and throw it in the corner, make it a little bit smaller. I can put it in any corner I want. I'm just going to take my left mouse and drag this up. I can move this to any spot on the screen that I want to. I can put it there, so I'm talking while demoing right here. I can show you what I'm doing, but I can do anything I want on the table as a demo. If I was painting, I could do that. If I was doing coins, I could do that, etc. And this looks pretty good. You can see me up in the top corner, up here, right here, right here I am. And then right here is the presentation of the tabletop. Okay, so one key point right here to remember is that you'll have to have whatever service you're using, whether it's Zoom, StreamYard, however you're sending your virtual camera, you have to have OBS open. I didn't want to just take this for granted, but if you look right here, that's the only way you can switch scenes is to have OBS open. It's not going to be able to switch scenes if you don't have that open. And remember, on Tools, we want to go to Tools, right? When we hit Tools, then we're going to go click Virtual Camera, and then there's going to be a menu that pops up on screen, as you can see here, and I have mine set to auto start. So you can see the auto start that I have. Every time I open OBS, it auto starts the virtual camera. So that way I know it's turned on. If it's not, just click Start down at the bottom and you can start it up. Okay, so now how do we get what we just created and put it in as our virtual camera? So here's an example on StreamYard. I'm using StreamYard right here. We're going to go down to where it says Camera and Mic. I'm going to go click on that. And then usually it'll bring you to General, or it might even bring you to Camera. That's fine. But I'm going to select Camera over here on the left. Right now you can see that my C920 is chosen. And I do have a C922. I have all these different cameras. But I'm going to choose OBS Camera because that's what we just created. Now watch how the magic happens. Boom. It shows the camera that we created over in OBS. So this is how the OBS virtual camera comes into your presentation in whatever you're doing. That was StreamYard. Now let's take a look at a Zoom meeting. A lot of people use Zoom meetings. So here I am with my C922. How am I going to get what I just created into my Zoom meeting? So again, I'm just going to go right here next to this camera. There's a caret right there that you point up on, and I'm going to add my OBS camera. Boom. Once I add it, now I have my virtual camera selected, and that is the camera that it's using. So whatever I put over here, if I turn my video off over here, if I turn the background off over here, this is what happens. Or if I switch scenes, I can go back to the main scene, which is just me. If you remember, this is just the C922 you can see right here in the sources. But when I go to overhead, nice transition, and this is what everybody sees in the Zoom meeting. This is just covering my image. So keep in mind, this can be also used with anything that can take a virtual camera. So a Google Meet, or possibly a Skype call, or anything like that that can use a virtual camera as a camera being brought in. This will work. So now let's take a look at how it's set up. Let's look at the top. You can see up here, you can see the camera that we have pointing down. It's on a bracket that I've built in my whole setup. And then down below, it's pointing right down to the Stream Deck that you saw in the video over here. As you can see in the camera here, this is hooked up via USB video capture HDMI device. This plugs into the PC, and then you would plug the other end into HDMI into your camera. And then you can use it as a camera source. Whew, there's a lot to learn, isn't there? And I know that. That's why we created a community called tinkeringwithtech.net. Go check out that website and see what we're all about. We would love to have you join us. Listen, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out a couple of these videos that are up over here. And most of all, thank you.